When you look back over the last 4 or 5 years of your life, how did you feel? Did you feel loved? Did you feel connected, supported, respected in your marriage? Or did you feel like you were walking on eggshells, just tying yourself into knots, trying to make her happy when no matter what you did or how hard you tried, she always saw you as the problem? A lot of the men that I work with in my Better Beyond Divorce program feel this way when they start the program. They tell me things like, they're like, look, Rachel, I know that it wasn't good for me either. Like, I look back and I can see there were a lot of things there that weren't good for me, but I just can't disconnect from her, right? I still want her back, even though I know that that relationship wasn't healthy for me either. There's 3 main reasons that men continue to hold on to women when they know that she's not good for him. The main reasons are anxious attachment, codependency, and both of those are rooted in childhood experiences, which we'll look at. And then the third is something that I call the white knight syndrome. And that one's a little bit different, and it could be that you have one or all 3 of these going on. So understanding, in this video, we're going to look at, are you struggling with anxious attachment, with codependency, or with this white knight syndrome? I'm going to help you figure out which one it is. Understanding this is going to be really helpful for most of you. However, what you really need is to break free from these patterns, right, so that you can actually disconnect and move on and move into healthier relationships, the kind of relationship that you actually deserve. One where you feel like an equal partner, where you feel loved and appreciated, and where you have the kind of partnership and family that you really want. What you really need is moving on 101. She's already moved on, and maybe you never dreamed that you would have to, but you're here now and you do. Moving on 101 is a free 60-minute session that I offer that's going to show you how to feel happy and strong and confident outside of your relationship with her. If you want to look in the mirror and see a man that you admire and respect instead of one that you don't even recognize anymore, then click the link above my head to watch Moving On 101. It's free. It's going to show you how to actually do this. All right, but in this video, we're going to talk about why you're holding on in the first place. So anxious attachment is something that you might have come across. If you haven't, there's some excellent videos here on YouTube about anxious attachment, but I'll give you a quick overview. Anxious attachment means that you really need this other person, and if they're not responsive, if they're not there to validate, if there's a conflict, your reaction is to seek out their attention, their approval. So you know you have an anxious attachment style if when you and your ex got in a fight, you would be the one pursuing conversation, like, hey, let's talk about it. Hey, let's talk about it. Wanting to make sure that that rift between you was repaired and really pushing. And if you're an anxious attachment style, then when your ex pulled away or shut down, that was probably really triggering and really, really hard for you. And it might be for a lot of people with an anxious attachment style, they're actually attracted to people who tend to shut down in moments of conflict. And so there's this kind of awful cycle that happens back and forth between them, where you're seeking and seeking and seeking that connection, that validation, and the harder you seek, the more they pull away or withdraw. So that's an anxious attachment style. And if you have that anxious attachment style, it's rooted in childhood experiences. Our attachment tendencies, which are really attachment styles, people can get really worked up about them. All they are, you guys, it's the pattern of how you learned to give and receive love when you were little. So when we're children, we learn from our parents, from other people in our lives, like what it takes to get our needs met. How do we get attention? How do we build relationship? How do we get connection with the people that we care about? And for a child, with the people that we're totally dependent on for our survival. And the anxious child usually has a parent, often a mother, who's quite dismissive or avoidant, right? She tends to shut down, she withdraws when she gets stressed, she gets annoyed, she rejects or pushes away the child, and the child feels this emotional rejection and is like anxiously seeking out her validation and attention to feel safe. And then we grow up, and that same pattern follows us into our adult relationships. And so now here you are in your marriage, and you're doing the same thing. When your wife isn't responsive, you're pushing, 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 trying to get that connection back. Men who grew up with an anxious attachment style really struggle to let go of relationships that are unhealthy for them. And it's kind of twisted, you guys. This is all subconscious. But what happens is that that person who is dismissive or avoidant, that person who shuts down, who rejects you emotionally, who isn't responsive to you, they actually feed your anxious attachment. It's familiar to you. It's what you grew up with, right? It's familiar to you to not get your needs met, to be ignored, to be pushed away, to need to anxiously seek. And a lot of people who are anxiously attached actually feel really uncomfortable when love is freely given. They don't really know how to receive love in a healthy way. And so even though you obviously don't want her shutting down and pulling away and withdrawing, and you're pursuing and seeking it out, that pattern is so familiar, it's almost comfortable to your subconscious mind. And the brain also has a deep fear that if you can't make it work with this person, and if you can't get her to love you, that nobody else will. And so the anxious attachment style leads you to believe that if you lose this relationship, you'll never be loved. So you better pursue it with her. You better try to fix it. And so when you look at it and you say, you know what, this isn't good for me, I deserve a better relationship, I deserve love, a part of you is like, yeah, but I don't know if we're going to get it, and we have this chance and we better hold on to it. And so that really primal, wounded part of your brain, a deeply emotional part of your brain, still holds on and won't disconnect, even though your logical, rational adult self knows that that marriage wasn't good for you either. So that's the first reason. That's anxious attachment. I'm actually going to skip over codependency for a moment, and we're going to come back to it because I want to talk about the white knight syndrome. A lot of the men that I meet who are holding on can't let go, even though their wife didn't respect them, they hadn't had sex in years, the whole relationship just wasn't fulfilling for them. They'll still hold on because their identity is to be the protector and the provider in that marriage. The white knight syndrome, the white knight will sacrifice himself and often does. He'll work 70 hours a week. He'll work 3 jobs. He will sacrifice his friends, his hobbies, anything for the good of his family and the good of his marriage. The white knight's job, his whole reason for being, his existence, is to protect and provide. And so if for men whose identity is wrapped up in being the white knight, they're often attracted to women who need to be rescued. Because what good is a white knight if there's no damsel in distress? So these men often end up married to women who are not equal partners, who are stuck in a victim mode themselves, who want to be taken care of or need to be taken care of because they don't know how to take care of themselves. A lot of the stereotypes about women only being interested in men with so much money and a certain kind of car, that kind of like shallow gold digger mentality in women, those are usually white knights who are experiencing that in dating, because they're attracted to women who need rescuing. And they start looking around and they're like, oh my God, all the women I go out with are helpless and they only want my money and my support. There's a lot of other women out there who don't feel that way, but the white knight doesn't see them. Like the subconscious just filters them out. He's not even interested. The ones he's attracted to are the ones that allow him to stay in that identity of being the white knight. And as we all know, the white knight is supposed to rescue the girl and live happily ever after. And if the marriage fails, if she files for divorce, and if he gives up on that relationship, he's not just giving up on her, he's giving up on his whole identity, the whole story that tied his life together and made his life make sense. So if you have this pattern, if this white knight identity tendency is present for you, you may find that you can look back rationally on your marriage, you can see it all, but you can't quite let go. And if you do let go, you feel like you are failing, like you are giving up. Even if she has cheated, if she has left, if she has fully moved on, if she's married somebody else, a lot of times the white knight just can't quite release her. And it's not about her, it's about your identity. If you resonate with either the anxious attachment or the white knight, again, you guys, please go watch my moving on session. 60 minutes. It's going to help you get to the root of where these patterns come from so you can release them. Because the reality is that your marriage with her is over. It is done. She's moved on. You didn't want to be here. This isn't what you envisioned. It's not what you would have chosen. It's not the future you would plan for yourself. But it is the reality of what is happening. And if you don't move on, what is the rest of your life going to look like? Okay, so the third reason that men can't disconnect, even when they know that the marriage wasn't good for them, is codependency. And codependency and anxious attachment can sound kind of similar, but you can be codependent and not be anxiously attached. You might be the partner who shuts down and withdraws when there's conflict, right? You might be the one who feels safer taking a step back. You might be the one who doesn't like confrontation or who feels overwhelmed and pushed when your partner is anxiously seeking to reconcile or talk to you or pursue an argument with you. So codependency just means that you don't know how to be alone. If you're experiencing codependent patterns, and I'll be honest, guys, almost everybody is, because codependency and love are commonly confused in our society. Most of our love stories are actually codependency stories, and maybe that's a topic for another video, but that twin flame, soulmate, I would die for you kind of love, that's not love. That's codependency. And the terrible side effect of those, that being kind of like our romantic story, it's in all of our romantic comedies, it's in our books, it's been in our culture for several hundred years now, this like incredibly codependent version of love. What it encourages is this belief that I need you to be okay. I can't live without you, right? How many songs is that in? I can't live without you. Right? I need you. If that pattern has been put into your brain, which it probably has, then that codependency is it's not going to allow you to let this relationship go. If I need you to be okay, if I can't live without you, well then how the heck am I supposed to disconnect from you? You've moved on, you're with somebody else, you're doing other things, but I need you, right? It's like incompatible. Divorce is incompatible with the belief system of codependency, which is the belief system of romantic love, largely in Western society. And the truth is that you don't need her. You need to learn how to be alone with yourself and be okay. Right? You need to learn how to feel happy and confident and strong. You need to learn how to tap into your creativity, into your energy, to not feel terribly lonely or bored when you're by yourself. And these are just skills. This is just a learning. But so many of us don't learn how to do it. And the moment that our person isn't with us, we feel so lost. Or the moment that we have to be all alone with our own brains and we're reaching for the phone, for YouTube, for a beer, for whatever it is that's going to prevent us from having to actually be alone inside of ourselves. So again, if you resonate with codependency, then that Moving On 101 session is for you. So if you've watched this video to this point and any of these patterns resonate with you, the way to break them, that's what I teach in Moving On 101. So come with me into that 60-minute free session and let's get you to that place where you can feel happy, strong, and confident, where you can look in the mirror and know who you are and like that person with or without a partner in your life. I'll see you guys in Moving On 101.